Hello, I'm Eli Noam. I'm very happy to speak to you here from New York. Every year I'm in Italy once or twice, and I look forward to seeing you in the future again. And I do thank Telecom Italia for its participation in our various activities. I would like to address with you here today the subject that you're discussing, namely employment and jobs. And as you know, equality, employment, inequality has been a topic in books and in discussions around the world. And so the question is how the internet and high technology more generally affects it. We in the high-tech and internet community believe that we are part of the solution, that we create those new future-oriented jobs, and therefore that we are part of the good guys. And to some extent, of course, that is true. Let's take a look at the first slide here. And you will see that the fact that is kind of the classic story, jobs are increasing, internet jobs are increasing, and not only are they increasing, but each job creates a multiplier. The multiplier is sometimes described as 1.5, sometimes even 2.6 in one study, supporting additional jobs. What we hear much less about is the disappearance of jobs. In the United States, blue-collar industrial jobs have disappeared at the rate of almost 500,000 industrial jobs for 2 decades now, plus the multiplier effects of those disappearing jobs. Now, it is true many of these jobs will have disappeared anyway, but the internet and electronic communications have accelerated this that process. And time is of the essence here because it gives people the opportunity to adjust, to learn new skills, to relocate, and so on. And if you compress the time, Moore's law, you have less opportunity to do so. Now, the impact of the internet on service jobs has also been significant. As the internet, for example, moves retailing to e-tailing, from physical brick and mortar type stores, employment gets lost on the retail level. In the UK, the projection is of 4,000 to 5,000 retail establishments being closed just this year alone. In the United States, several hundred thousands of jobs have disappeared in these pink-collar jobs. This is not only for retailing, but it's also true for other services in music, in journalism, travel agents, stockbrokers, accountants, telemarketers, bank tellers, and now also professors with online courses and MOOCs. So we have not only deindustrialization, but also, to coin a word, a deservicization. So the problem, however, is not only that we lose jobs, but that the job loss is distributed unequally. That is, it turns out that many middle-level jobs are easier to automatize by smart software and machinery, or that they're easier to outsource and offshore than low-level jobs. It is easier to automatize travel agents or bank tellers. It is harder to do so for hotel maids and road construction. In the United States, half of the 7.5 million jobs lost during the Great Recession were in industries that pay middle-class wages. But only 2% of the 3.5 million jobs that have been gained since that recession are in those mid-pay industries. Nearly 70% are in low-pay industries. About 29% are industries that pay well. And in the Eurobloc countries, there is a similar trend as it is in Japan. So what we see is that the professional upper-level jobs, the kind of jobs that people with technology skills aspire to, are probably doing well. That the lower tier of jobs, the more menial type of jobs, service-level jobs, are also doing well, although they are subject to competition from immigration. It is the middle-level jobs that have the greatest problem. Here in the next graph, you will see how the middle is disappearing, and whatever country you look at, whether it's the Netherlands, the United States, it is the middle occupation jobs that are declining. The highest income occupations, typically the professional jobs, are increasing, and the low income occupations are also increasing. And the problem that that creates is the problem on several levels. One is in terms of job mobility and social mobility. It is becoming harder to move from the low-skilled jobs into the middle and then to the upper-skilled jobs because there is that hollowing out in the middle. That is number one. Second problem that we create is for young people, because typically they too aspire to jobs with high mobility, and those jobs become rarer, which is why we see such high youth unemployment. It is true that the internet creates new opportunities for the next generation of Bill Gateses or Mark Zuckerbergs, for example, or of the Google boys, but that is at a very narrow level of people. Most young people do not have the skills or the entrepreneurial skills or the luck that these people have. So many people believe that all this is caused by a bunch of anti-people, anti-worker, internet mogul, mostly Americans, of course, like Gates and Zuckerberg and Bezos and the Google boys. Stop them and the world will be a better place. Get their lobbyists out of bed with the governments and the world will be a better place. But this is, in my view, quite wrong. Some people end up at the top by luck and by pluck and by connections. But the real question is not who ends up at the top, but whether the technology defines economics, which in turn defines a market structure and an employment structure in a way where economic equilibrium is socially suboptimal. So in my view, the emerging unequal employment system is not the result of bad action. This is not the result of failure, but of success. They are the result of fundamental economics that restructure economies fundamentally. And because they're fundamental, they're very hard to deal with by government policy. And the fundamental economics of the internet, I have no time to elaborate, is that these internet activities are typically characterized by high fixed costs, low marginal costs, and network effects, which create major economies of scale. They are also characterized by high risk, which leads, as economists can show, to individual compensation that becomes more unequal in order to compensate for the higher risk. It is also characterized by an economic system of price deflation. Prices are coming down, as we observe for everything that's electronic. We also observe an economic destabilization of this kind of economy, which also is disruptive. And we also observe the transformation of firms into network companies that lead to a freelance economy. So all these fundamental trends are factors in disruption, economic inequality, and what are then the consequences and what can be done about that. And so I will only put several items on the agenda. And the first one is one has to, from the tech industry, stop repeating the mantra that things will get much better simply because they have gotten much better in the past. It is true that new employment gets created, but the question is where. Maybe we're creating employment in India and in China rather than Italy or the United States. The second thing is that we should stop claiming that the internet is the solution. The dumbest way is for the internet and tech communities is to try to take advantage of a problem that it has helped create by proclaiming that the problem is that there's not enough internet, that it should receive more help, more governmental support, etc., and everything will be fine. Now, much more can be said, should be said, and should be analyzed how we get our countries and our societies into a full employment mode when the underlying economies are structurally changed in a very fundamental way. So I will conclude. The impact of internet-induced economic displacement and disruption will not go away. It will only get worse. And the academic community and the technology community are full of people who are able to think outside of the box, to create solutions, to fund solutions, and to trial solutions. This is the kind of thinking that we should be doing together actively now, unless we want others to do that kind of thinking and doing for us and to do it to us, and in consequence and as a result retard innovation rather than accelerate it, which is what we need. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to discussing these topics with you in the future.